By the end of this episode, you're going to think about walking in a way you've never thought about it before. Today, we're going to talk about the benefits of walking, how to not let this sudden trend take you on, sweep you up in overdoing things, and how to start something like you can stick to, maybe as a walking plan. It probably comes to no surprise to you that almost everyone that starts a health and fitness plan, whether it be walking or going to the gym or whatever, fails within the first 3 months. It's actually like 90%. And I'm here to make sure you're in the 10% who succeed. You're in that 10%. And then I'm going to pull a card from the Sacred Self-Care Guidance Oracle. And we're going to ask it for something that we need, you and I, to do, to put on our to-do list in the area of self-care. We're going to go a little bit deeper into what that message means for us, the message from the universe. Welcome to the Creative Life in Motion podcast, where we don't wait until we reach our goals to be happy. We fall in love with who we are being on the way. I'm your virtual BFF, Karen. Maybe we're not BFF yet. Maybe we haven't known each other long enough for that. But stick around, and that's how I like to have the conversation with you. So let's talk about walking. There is a sudden rise on this. I remember growing up, I would watch my mom. She would go for a walk every single day, and she would even try to bring me along every once in a while. But it hurt. My back hurt. My knees hurt. I should say, a Gen X. And so I was probably, if I looked around my classroom at that time, I was probably one of the only ones that had more of, a sturdy frame. I was a little overweight, whatever that meant. Anyways, I just knew that I was bigger than my classmates, and they knew too. So the last thing that I wanted to do was get teased more. If maybe one of my classmates would see me walking with my mom, they might think that I'm trying to get exercise. And I was teased enough at that point. There was no way. I'd be mortified to be seen by somebody. So I just continued on to be who I was. And I didn't really start walking until it was a necessity. I was 26, 27 years old. I had a little boy who was starting school. I was a single mom at the time, didn't have a car, and the school, thankfully, we didn't live too far from it. It was down a big hill, about a 10-minute walk. And I had to walk him to school, and then I had to walk back home. And when I'd walk back home, it was daylight. And when people are, dropping their kids off from school, there's more traffic than usual. I had to come up this big hill, and I was out of shape, and people would look at me. I had some people say, "Good for you." And I just felt so exposed, and it felt hard, and I was embarrassed. It brought me right back when I was a little girl. They're seeing me, they're making fun of me. And, in my mind that I can think of now, maybe they're just waving and saying hi and actually just saying good for you because, they'd like to be out there walking too. I need to figure out a way where I can actually do this and feel less discomfort. So I decided that there was a longer route that I could take home. It was in some side streets. The hill was less gradual, so it was a lot easier for me to manage without huffing and puffing and sweating and be out of breath. But it gave me kind of like a time hit. I had to take 30 minutes instead of 10 minutes. So I had to make sure that I could schedule that amount of time in so that I wouldn't be mortified. And that was my motivation. I was not motivated to lose weight. I was motivated to not be seen. Nobody was more shocked than me to be watching the pounds just drop off. Because one thing leads to another. I started feeling better. So I started thinking, I started eating more in a way that I would feel energetic. I wasn't cutting anything or everything or anything for that matter out. I was just stopping more when I felt satisfied during my food, like when I was eating, rather than waiting until I was full so that I would have more energy because I was really enjoying the energy that this newfound exercise of walking was giving me. And then a year later, I'm staring at completely different person from the inside out, really, because it wasn't just the physical that was going on with me. It was also, this I'm Gen X. Back in the day, we didn't have anything to put in our ears. Like I didn't have anything to listen to. Walkmans were like, 10 pounds, and certainly wasn't going to bring my big ghetto blaster with me. And I had to just listen to my thoughts and sort through things and start to, you know, think instead of be bored. So there was a transformation that was happening both inside and out. And I was absolutely shocked at who I had become just through the actions of who I was being. All I had to do was walk. One of the things that I talk about a lot is, how making a plan that works for you is your biggest tool in the toolbox that you can have. And I use that strategy because I remember like I wasn't, told that I had to do this plan. I was literally going through my intuition and making things up that felt right for me. So once I was like really enjoying these walks, once I started deciding that this is something that I wanted to do, I would start to make excuses to go when there was no school. I started, walking to the grocery store. I started taking my son with me when there was like, he would bike when there was no snow. And when there was snow, I would pull him on a GT sled on my route on days that there was no school. I wanted to continue to feel this way every day. And then during the summer months, I started taking him down to a track, which was just a little further than the school. And I would do a few laps of the track while he would play in the center or sometimes over on the side. You know how they have that long jump side on, on the field. You know what I'm talking about there. I was creating things and systems that worked for me. I was just listening to my intuition. So when I work with people in creating their first walking plan as a base of their exercise plan, that's the first place that I go to. That's the magic of consistency. That's how you're able to really make things consistent, which is one of the things that people have difficulties to doing is staying consistent. And I believe it's because we, go all in all at once. And instead of allowing it to evolve into something that we're enjoying, to create a habit, you just need a system, and then you need something that makes it enjoyable so that you can continue to repeat. But most people don't even begin to plan, because there's no time to plan or you just wing it. And when it all falls apart, what do? We look in the mirror and we blame ourselves. We say, oh, I can't do that. I failed miserably again. It's my fault. And I think we could do better, as a collective. I think that we could do better for ourselves in being kinder to ourselves by introducing, a new way to succeed. I think there's a new way that you can totally be successful. And that's with something that I like to call the walk method. It's a bonus training that I made to put inside the Walk It Off program. And it walks you through, pardon the pun, a way to actually specifically develop your plan just for you. It's really been a game changer. I want more people to see this. I want more people to put their walking plan in their own hands. So I put a link to the walk method training below. You can go ahead and watch the training. It's totally free. It's going to be so good to put ourselves on our to-do list. And you can actually take this training and apply it to more things than just walking. So you got to go see it. So I'll make sure that that link is below this video if you're watching on YouTube, and also below in the show notes of the podcast. For me, the catalyst to more was walking. After I lost a ton of weight and here I am, this brand new person, it took me a while to adapt to how other people treated me. I began to, in my 40s, get quite obsessed about keeping the weight off. And it became harder. I did everything. I ran marathons, taught group fitness, but I still had, the walking as my base. And I didn't really realize the superpowers of walking until it was the only thing I had. You see, I bombed. I hit my late stages of perimenopause, which I'm still in, and I had to reprogram my nervous system because I had done too much. I was working really hard. I was pushing my body really hard, pushing the envelope, and it was just too much. Scheduled for, I was going to say a C-section. No. Scheduled for a hysterectomy, and I decided that I wasn't going to do it. I decided that I wanted to try and heal my body first. Actually, I got scared. I was terrified. I became afraid of everything. And by the time it was all said and done, I had a nervous system that was through the roof. And so I had to undo everything that I had done when it came to dieting and fitness to heal my body. And I had to also accept the fact that I'm going to be heavier. And that's okay. I'm not giving up on myself, that I'm allowing my body to do and be what it needs to do to be safe. I'm super duper proud to be sitting here 4 years later. And I still have all my parts, and I have a very regular cycle, and everything is great. I feel healthier than I've felt in years, even in my 40s, and I'm in my 50s. So it's a good news story, but bringing it back to, the walking was what helped me stop the weight gain, still be able to exercise and ground myself. And it was at that point that I was like, okay, well, now I got to make it more exciting. And now I'm digging into all the benefits of walking and what it actually does for me. And, it's crazy. There's so many hidden benefits that now I'm like, oh, I get it. I understand now why I was able to get so self-aware, because I was walking and I didn't have headphones in and I was forcing myself to take a break. Now, the benefits of walking to help for weight loss, I like to talk about it a little bit differently, as weight loss being, both physical weight and mental weight. It actually helps to relieve a lot of overstimulation, which we have a lot of in this day and age, which can help lower the cortisol, which can help release weight physically and mentally. Walking at a brisk pace can definitely help you metabolize a little bit better and increase your metabolic rate, and definitely can assist in fat loss over time. But it does take time, and it does take consistency. There's a huge benefit to walking during perimenopause because it helps to reduce the stress, which a lot of times, in perimenopause, as you know, the hormones are fluctuating up and down. So you got to be the one that's going to normalize at least that the amount of stress that's coming in and out of the body, so we can put stress on our bodies by, external triggers that we cannot control. That's going to be there regardless. And we can take some off by things that what we do to our body. Like if we go and exercise for a couple hours or go for an hour run, that's really taxing on the body. And it's gonna, unless you've been running your whole life and you're adapted to it and it doesn't put you in any more than a zone 2 cardio, that's a different talk. That's a different story. But for most of us that have a little bit of excess weight or are in perimenopause, we got to keep that hormone in check. And that's a delicate dance. So walking in zone 2 has been started to it's become like red car syndrome lately. It seems like everybody is talking about it, but it also feels like it's going to an area where let's do more of it, more and more, and more is not always the answer. You want to leave your exercise session, whether it's walking, lifting weights, going to your favorite dance class, you want to leave feeling energetic, not tapped. If you're tapped, it was too much. If you're can't do anything for the rest of the day because you feel lethargic with no energy, that's a sign that you're doing too much. You're not giving yourself the recovery that your body needs. So in order to stay consistent and keep going for a long term, I always say it's better to go less. It's better to do 30-minute bouts if you can do one in the morning and then you feel energetic to do one later in the day. Great. And keep moving throughout the day. But that doesn't mean that you need to literally keep moving throughout the day. Just get up from your desk if you're sedentary and walk around, do a couple laps around the house and you're fine. Anyways, I'm going down a rabbit hole there. Walking also helps you to improve your sleep. And that's been shown over and over again. It helps with weight management. So if you have difficulties right now with releasing weight, walking will at least stop the gain. Like if you've been gaining weight for a while and say you're doing all the things, stop doing all the things and just walk. And it will probably stop. I mean, that's what worked for me. It stopped. And now I'm at a point where it's releasing again. And it took a few years. It doesn't just happen. I could have gone on some, super duper diet and lost all the weight fast. But guess what? It all comes back fast too. So we're talking about the longevity. What can you do for a longer term that can be a lifestyle, a way of being, rather than a punishment to get me to the goal? And once I'm there, I'll be happy. No. We're going to be happy every single day as we're being on our way to the goal, right? Walking also makes you a lot more creative. Creativity goes through the roof, especially if you allow yourself the luxury of silence. Like literally, you're not listening to a podcast, you're not calling your mom, you're just taking that time for you to listen to your thoughts, let things come through and by and watch them. Keep a voice recorder. You might start solving the world's problem. It's something that is super underrated and we don't do enough of. It's almost uncomfortable, isn't it? To go somewhere and not be connected to something. Let me know if that's you. If you feel uncomfortable standing in a lineup and not looking at your phone. If you feel uncomfortable waiting at the dentist office and not looking at your phone. Isn't that an indication that we need to have some time out where there's no input? Does it make you uncomfortable to not have keep me company content in the background all the time? That's a question. I know sometimes I'm guilty of that. I love keep me company content. Podcasts and videos, and when I'm cooking or cleaning the house, I love listening to them. I don't do much driving these days, so that doesn't happen. But for me, it's usually when I'm cleaning or something. Not walking. I don't do it when I'm walking. So here's what you don't need. You don't need 20,000 steps a day to be successful at this. An average, 20,000 steps a day, that's 2 hours. So if you have 2 hours to go for a walk, it's probably not smart if you've only been averaging about 2,000 steps a day. If you average at this point 2,000 to 3,000 steps a day, you are kind of in the normal. It sounds like maybe you have a sedentary job. Don't add any more than 3,000 on. Do that for 30 days and then see how you feel. Add another 3,000 on after 30 days, a couple times a week, and see how you feel. That way you will avoid burnout, but you'll also avoid injury. If you go out on a 20,000 step walk tomorrow and you haven't done that amount of walking for a long time, chances are your hips and your lower back are going to take the heat, especially if you haven't put great shoes on your feet. I'm rhyming. It's time for me to stop ranting when I'm rhyming, right? That's kind of like an inside joke around here. I know. Okay, stop looking for shortcut. Slow and steady wins the race. We've all heard the tortoise and the hare. And if you haven't, you can Google it and you will have heard it. Okay, so let's pull a card. Time to pull a card. So the intention of this, if you are listening on podcast, I have a video form of this on YouTube, and I'll put the link below. So my intention, our intention, and the way this works is if you're here and you're listening, this is for you as well. So this is from the deck of the Sacred Self-Care Oracle. And we're going to pull a card, and this is a message of something that we need to put in our calendar this week. I'm just getting the cards ready, and I am something that we need to put in our self-care this week. I'm just spreading out the card on my desk here in front of me. Okay, and I'm going to warm up my hands here. Look for the energy, that intention. I'm going to pull a card that calls. Got it. Ooh, we have pleasure. I like pleasure. Now, I'm going to go a little bit deeper. I got to put my glasses on. Now, look this up. And what do you need to add into your life that is pleasure? To me, I think pleasure is something that you actually enjoy doing. And with this sacred self-care, you're probably a little bit like me and you put a lot of people before you. And it's hard to take self-care. So this is what we are doing. I am worthy of pleasure is the mantra. Our bodies are magnificent temples of joy. What does your nose want to smell? What does your skin want to feel? What do your eyes want to see? What does your mouth want to taste? What do your ears want to hear? Pleasure has unlimited forms, and you can call in whatever one you desire. Your mantra is, I am worthy of pleasure. The journal prompt is, what kind of pleasure do you want to call into your life? Time for oneself in nature, going for a walk, doing something that you enjoy just because you like it. Give yourself permission to not feel guilty around the desire for pleasure. That's pretty deep. It's a big homework for us. When I get these messages and I read the cards and I do the journals, sometimes the answers aren't there right away, and that's okay. Going into self-awareness practices are just They're opening those doors for healing, for discovery. And these are the types of things that if you allow yourself the quiet, say in the forest on a walk, be sure to look at that walk method that I have linked down below. The answers start to become clearer. The pathways to what you need to do next are there for you, and your intuition becomes brighter of what your next step is. No pun intended, as this was mainly about walking. It was fun hanging out with you today. That was new. And, you can always go on my YouTube video and then you get to see facial expressions and it's kind of like more connecting on a video. I'll make sure that that link is below of this podcast as well if you're just listening on your favorite podcast player. And until next time, thanks for keeping me company and we'll see you next time. Bye.